Hey Jovanni, it's Lauren. I'm sorry I missed you last week. I hope that you are having a great week so far, and I just wanted to send you a story for today. So this is called Don't Hurt It, written by Anne Harth. Flit, flap, flit. A moth fluttered against the inside of the window. Terrell watched. Flop, flutter, flit. The moth was creamy brown. Its antenna, that's a hard word, so that's that word right there. Its antenna looked like tiny feathers. Calvin ran into the room looking for his shoes. "What are you watching?" he asked. Terrell pointed. "A moth," Calvin said. "I'll get rid of it." He raised his hand to slap the moth. "No," Terrell said. Calvin glanced at Terrell. "No?" he asked. "Don't hurt it," Terrell said. The moth saw its chance. It fluttered away from the window. It landed on the ceiling. Its wings opened and closed. Calvin shrugged. "Hey, Mom," he called. "I'm going out." He left. Terrell lay on the floor. He looked up at the moth. It had one black dot on each wing that looked like eyes. Ebony wandered in with a book. She sat on the couch. The moth fluttered from the ceiling. It fluttered over Ebony's open book. "Yuck!" she waved her hand. "Go away." The moth landed on a page of her book. Ebony started to flick it with her finger. "No!" Terrell yelled. "Don't hurt it." Ebony turned to look at Terrell. The moth saw its chance. It fluttered away. It landed on the window curtains. Terrell moved close to the moth. Its body was fuzzy. Black, shiny eyes looked at him. Whoosh, zoom, whoosh. Mom came in with the vacuum cleaner. She vacuumed under the stairs and under the tables. She moved closer to the curtains. "Oh, you don't belong here," she said to the moth. She raised the vacuum cleaner hose. She moved it towards the moth. "No!" yelled Terrell. "What?" said Mom. "Don't hurt it." Mom turned off the vacuum. "Okay, then take the moth outside." Terrell crept closer to the moth. "It's not safe for you here," he whispered. He cupped his hands around it. The moth's wings tickled his palms. Terrell carried the moth downstairs and outside. He opened his hands to free the moth. The moth was still for a minute. It opened its wings and closed them again. "You're welcome," Terrell said. The moth fluttered away. So I liked that story. I hope you liked it too. So here's a couple questions just to kind of see what you remember, but also, what you thought about it. So the first question is, why did Calvin run into the room? So while you're thinking, I'll go back to that page. So this was a tough one. It was a memory question. So we ran into the room because he was looking for his shoes. Because if you remember, he was going out. So that's what he was doing. So the next question, let's go back to that page. The next question is, how would you describe what the moth looked like or its body? So we know a couple things, right? I can't remember what page it was on, but it has two big wings, right? And then on each wing it had black dots, right? And remember that he said they look like eyeballs. And then another thing we know is that his body was furry. And then he had two actual eyeballs too, and he had antenna, which are like those things that kind of stick out up in the air. There's two of them on their head. So that's kind of what we know about how it looks. So who is the second person in the story that almost hurt the moth? So the second person was Ebony. She came in the room to read her book, right? And she saw the moth flutter around over her book, and that's when she almost got it. And then the third person was their mom, right? So the last question is kind of, there's no right or wrong answer, but how does Terrell feel about the moth? So I would say he's probably protective of the moth, right? Because he sees everyone trying to, catch it and kill it, and he protects it every time. So he cares about the moth. And I would say he's also, curious about the moth, and he's very interested in it because he's watching him. Before Ebony came in the room, he was laying on the floor, just kind of watching the moth. So he likes the moth. So yeah, I think that was a good story because, e- even though, we might not like something, or it might seem like a nuisance or kind of a pain in our butts, um that doesn't mean that we can just kind of get rid of it just because it's causing us trouble. The moth was still a living animal, and so it was really cool that Terrell protected it and did everything he could to, get him out of the house because he couldn't stay there, but also make sure that he was safe outside. All right, Jovanni. Well, I hope you're doing great, and I'll talk to you next week. All right, bye.